Hey guys, it's Sean. I wanted to put together a short video explaining my process for painting my own canvas backdrops. I spent a number of weeks researching the process and pulling together all the necessary components. This video is a culmination of the things I learned painting 4 canvas backdrops. I decided to buy everything as locally as possible. I was fortunate to be able to find all of my materials at 2 of our local Ace Hardware locations. I had originally decided to paint only one 6x9 backdrop, but I quickly realized that the canvas I had bought was actually 2 drop cloths sewn together. To avoid having an apparent line down the middle of my backdrop, I decided to cut it into 2 4x6 pieces and buy another larger canvas, a 9x12 in this case. A big portion of my budget actually went to renting the space to paint. I rented a space in the building where I rent my photography studio. They have space dedicated for painters, so I knew the smell and the splatter wouldn't be the end of the world. The total cost for the space was $320. For canvas, I opted to purchase 8-ounce canvas drop cloths. They worked out fine, but they're a little thin, and in certain situations, you can see light through the backdrops. I think 2 solutions would be to buy heavier canvas, of course, but I also think a heavier paint mix would also go a long way. I'll explain more of that shortly. In total, I spent $42 on enough canvas to make 4 backdrops. I made 2 6x9 backdrops and 2 4x6 backdrops. When it comes to paint, I purchased Benjamin Moore flat base paint in 4 different colors: Paper White, Coventry Gray, Dark Olive, and Desert Twilight. Some of these colors were meant to be base coats, while others were going to be accents. Each can was 1 quart capacity, which really wasn't enough to paint in my opinion. All in all, I spent $80 on paint. I had to buy all the little things for painting, like rollers, handles, trays, etc. I used 2 tarps that I already owned. They were very helpful to keep paint off the floor, and I highly recommend getting some tarps. Some of the other things that I found incredibly helpful were shoe covers, latex gloves, a gallon jug of water, and a box fan. The painting process came together easier than I thought it would. I started by rolling out paint across the first backdrop without any dilution, and I quickly realized that I would either have to dilute the paint or purchase a whole lot more. The first coat of paint that I used on the 4x6 backdrop had used an entire quarter of the quart already, just on 1 coat. Going forward, I decided to dilute the paint with water. That helped spread things across the backdrop, but there were moments of concern there as well. Because of the dilution I used, there are certain parts of the backdrop that let light through when the backdrop is backlit. It's not a huge concern, but it's definitely something to pay attention to. The thin paint also left water streaks across the backdrop, and it made it look terrible, which I had to go back over with more paint later, so I could have just saved time and painted with thicker paint in the first place. I don't actually have a great measurement for how much I diluted the paint. It was more of a trial and error. It took me about 30 minutes between coats with the fan blowing across the backdrop. I think the fan was pivotal, honestly. It would have taken me forever waiting for each coat to dry. I would imagine things would have been consolidated to speed up the process, but I was still splitting my time with real estate properties between coats. At the end of the day, I think they came together nicely. I have 2 olive backdrops, 1 gray, and 1 white. The total for everything came in under $400, so even at $100 a backdrop, the price was still worth it. Here are some of the final images that I've included on my website. If you have any questions about the process that I didn't address here, feel free to comment below or send me a message.